Hey guys, for this Elden Ring video, I'm going to give you my New Game Plus build for a Knight and Flame Warrior with a special emphasis on intelligence. The weapon I'm going to be using for this build is a dual-wielded Sword of Knight and Flame. The Sword of Knight and Flame is a special armament straight sword that grants you 2 magic attacks, one that shoots out a straight beam of magic and another that streams a whiplash of fire. If you're on your first playthrough of Elden Ring and don't yet have the Sword of Knight and Flame, please see the video link in the description of this video for where and how to get it. That video will also be on the end screen of the video. To get 2 of them like I do in this video, you can simply pick up another one on New Game Plus. I have both of my Knight and Flame swords at +9. The Knight and Flame sword has scaling with strength, dexterity, intelligence, and faith. The Knight and Flame stance happens when you press and hold L1 on your PlayStation controller. Then when you press R1, you execute a scaled down version of the Knight Comet sorcery, which scales off of your intelligence. Pressing R2 in the Knight and Flame stance uses a sweeping flame, which scales off of your faith. My attribute stats without equipment for this build has my Vigor at 50, my Mind at 45, Endurance at 24, Strength and Dex are both at 40, Intelligence is at 50, Faith is at 40, and Arcane is also at 40. Items I use for this build are, for my finger seal to cast incantation magic, I use the Golden Order seal. For my helm, I use 2 in this video. One is the Mariah's Mask, purely for visuals because I think it looks pretty cool with the Zamor armor. It gives a +1 to Arcane, which doesn't help this build like at all, so I wear the Twin Sage Glintstone crown. In my opinion, of all the crowns, the Twin Sage is the best because it gives the biggest boost to your intelligence score, raising it 6 points. If you don't have the Glintstone crown, any of the other crowns will do because they all raise your intelligence just a bit. Now if you don't have the Twin Sage Glintstone crown and you want it, please see my video quick walkthrough guide on how to get it. The link to that video will be on the end screen of this video and linked in the description. Other equipment I use for this build is the Zamor armor with the Preceptor's trousers. For talisman, I use the Magic Scorpion charm for a boost to magic power, the Fire Scorpion charm for a boost to fire power, the Stargazer heirloom for a 5-point increase to intelligence, and Marika's sword seal for a 5-point boost to mind, intelligence, faith, and arcane. For my mixed physick, I use 2 in this video. The first combination is the Flame Shrouding Crack tier with the Magic Shrouding Crack tier. This combo is meant to boost both magical attacks of the Knight and Flame sword. The second combination is the Magic Shrouding Crack tier with the Intelligence Knot crystal tier. Now I did some testing with this build to boost the Knight Comet sorcery attack, and I found that the best results when I put a heavy focus on raising my intelligence and magic attack power. There is another talisman that I swap out the Fire Scorpion charm for, and that's the Graven Mask talisman, which greatly raises the potency of sorceries. Incantations I use for this build are basically just buff spells, nearly all of them. Golden Vow for a buff to attack and defense, Blessing of the Tree for heals over time, Flame Grant Me Strength for a boost to physical and fire affinity attack power, Barrier of Gold for magical defense, Golden Lightning Fortification for lightning defense if I should happen to fight enemies with lightning affinity attacks, Protection of the Tree for damage negation for all affinity types except for physical, Flame Protect Me for fire defense, Great Heal for big healing, Lord's Aid to alleviate poison and blood loss buildup, and Bestial Constitution to alleviate frost buildup. How I make this build work in combat is I use my main standard 3 buff spells whenever I enter a new zone: Golden Vow, Blessing of the Tree, and Flame Grant Me Strength. Then I start my attack from a long range on most enemies using the Knight Comet sorcery attack, which knocks back most enemies. When they are knocked back, I close in with dual wield attacks of the swords or a jumping attack. I might sometimes use the second stance of the sword when a single enemy is knocked back because the flame stance does a decent amount of damage to enemies that are not resistant to fire, and sometimes, even when they are resistant to fire, it still hits pretty hard. For slow approaching enemies, I will start with the flame stance because the wide arc of the attacks just won't miss, and then I move in for melee combat. For groups of smaller enemies, the flame stance is perfect. For boss fights, I try to get as close as I can to my target while dodging their attacks. When they finish a strong attack that leaves them open for a few moments, the Knight Comet sorcery will drill a hole straight through them more often than not, especially if my character is maxed out for intelligence and magical power. I also use the same dodge and get close strategy for the flame stance as well, because sometimes bosses are weak to fire, and if they are, this will take chunks out of their health. When I can't use the magic attacks, I let my Spirit Ashes tank for me, keeping the boss's attention while I chip away at its health with dual wield attacks, mostly jumping ones because those do the most damage. And occasionally, while the Spirit Ashes does have the boss's attention, a sweeping arc of the flame stance has a lower chance of missing the target. And that's going to be it for this video. If you have any questions about this build or anything else Elden Ring related, please drop them down in the comments and I'll try to answer them as quickly and best as possible. If this video was helpful, please don't leave without leaving a like, and also check the description of this video for more helpful Elden Ring guide videos. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Peace out.